Good morning, welcome to today's video. George, are you ready for Chris today?
Oh yeah!
Got him peas.
It's P-Day.
So yesterday Chris was commuting home on his bike, some absolute rode out in front of him.
So we're going to have to nurse him a little bit today.
I think we are, yeah.
Which is going to be difficult because we've got quite a lot to do today.
I think the damage to his bike he's more upset about than the damage to himself.
Luckily it's not too bad. I think there's only a few scuffs. He's torn all his clothing stuff.
It's lucky he works for a clothing brand
his
then.
Nice Shimano bag. It's lucky he's got his supported. Will's bringing a set of knives to the office.
What? Mate, we got you the peas.
Huh?
You got peas.
Oh mate, I've got some peas for you, my friend.
Peas
I've
for
got
me.
you.
My lovely new lady lump.
You got another hematoma?
Yeah.
Oh, sake.
No!
I think it looks like the pen.
Is this your broken bike?
Apparently, both
Cracked.
my bikes are apparently broken.
Oh man, the problem is,
The problem is I'm a heifer, is the problem.
you don't know if it's paint or not unless you x-ray it, right?
Yeah, very true. Just get a new bike, mate.
Well, that's what they were saying. But
Or just ride it and then crash again.
you're going to say, I've ridden it for like a couple of thousand miles on it. And I was like, oh.
So is that the one you crashed?
I've crashed both of them.
Oh.
I should just stop riding, to be honest.
He's going to be doing that for a while, isn't he?
I'm heavier than you.
If you get that one to look like that, I will eat
Your hat?
that hat.
Go again.
That's from the lorry.
Yes, from the
Oh,
lorry.
you left him.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, mate, you can't leave that. In the office today, we've got Will as a special guest. He was the nutritionist for One Pro Cycling, and if you've been following his vlogs, you'll know already that he got hit by a lorry. How many months ago was it now?
4 months ago.
He has been slowly recovering, has recently started riding again, and he's asked George to do a sub-maximal power test.
No, it's a sub-maximal fitness test.
Oh.
Meh, it's not a power test. He's just getting back into riding, so it would be physically and more importantly mentally damaging just to ask him to do an FTP test straight off the bat, having not ridden for 4 months. We're doing a sub-max test looking at how fit he is compared to where he was, so we know what kind. We basically do a gap analysis to see how far away we are, and we can plan what happens going forwards. Lady is our baseline.
There you go.
Base.
/ test friend.
The other part of it as well is having not ridden for several months. If we're asking him to do a test by himself with people watching, it's sad. It's like mental anguish. Why would you not reduce it?
Right. After this test is done, we're hopefully going to get Will to answer some of your questions that you put in yesterday about nutrition.
That's crazy. Like anticipation of starting, my heart rate's gone up 20.
Yeah. We're basically giving an estimation of where his VO2 max is at the moment, which is what we're trying to work out. This should, in theory, work.
Awesome.
Cross fingers. Values of what you've achieved in the test to estimate where your VO2 max is in litres a minute as an expression of millilitres per kilogram of body weight per minute.
I always think it's a weird gauge of fitness because if you're like massively hench, you're gonna be at a huge disadvantage in terms of VO2 max, but you could still be an absolute beast of an athlete because you could just be like slightly overweight, lose 5 kilograms, get to race weight, and your VO2 max will suddenly be way higher.
Yeah. So Jess has come out with a VO2 max of 70.6 as an estimate, which is really high. For a lady on a bicycle. That's really high. Today, you're down as low as 50.13. So 5013. So that's a drop of 11 points. A sedentary male like your age is supposed to have like 35 to 40. Got 4 months off the bike, but you're still at 50.13.
Right, welcome to the nutrition portion of today's vlog. We're heading to the shop because Will is actually going to cook us lunch. I'm quite hungry though, I might need a pre-lunch snack.
Mandate is he's got to cook us an easy, healthy cycling lunch that makes everybody happy. Then he's got to create us some like homemade energy bars out of stuff you find in the cupboards people can do at home.
And it's got to be vegan and gluten-free, nut-free,
No breathing whilst you make it.
Created in a vacuum.
No carbs.
no carbs, mate. Guys, I found some great frozen pizza just around the corner.
Oh, really?
Easy recovery food.
Yeah.
Frozen pizza.
Pizza every time.
Frozen pizza.
I've heard that olive oil isn't the best oil to cook with because it breaks down under not that much heat. Is that true?
Don't burn it then. Yeah, so different fats have different oxidizing and heat temperatures. So the lower the burning temperature, the more likely it is to oxidize under cooking. But Just don't burn your food. So we've got grilled veg, avocado, guacamole, salsa, rice, tortillas, and then like a mixed lentil. For recovery, it's going to be good because it's going to be slow digesting carbohydrates. It's going to have a mixture of proteins coming from the lentils. For vegetarian or vegan would be ideal. Loads of micronutrients and antioxidants to help with inflammation and recovery. And then carbohydrates for glycogen replenishment. It's all the things you need. Some healthy fats as well. Not too much though, so it's not going to slow down digestion.
Well, this could get controversial, couldn't it? Will Girling reviewing
energy bars.
How you can do it yourself because it's expensive to buy.
Unprofessional.
Yeah, go. Ready? Go. Good, yes. Food. It depends why we're having them. Because most of the time, the amount of calories that are in these and the amount of fat and protein in these bars are things you don't need. How long is your ride? What are you riding for? What are you training for? That's the biggest question you need to ask yourself. So many of these bars, like a Cliff bar, this bar in particular as well, some of these ones are high in calories, high in fat, and some of them a bit with protein as well, which you don't need on a ride. You probably want to spend more time eating calories from a nice meal or when you go for your cafe stop. But having 250 calories or more,
268 calories for one bar.
For one bar. If you have one of those an hour on a 3-hour ride, you nearly had 1,000 calories just on a bike ride. And what we really need from energy bars is obviously just the energy. So we need just simple carbohydrates. Something like this actually has minimal fat in it, minimal protein, it's just carbohydrate.
So that's half the calories.
No fat and I think minimal protein in it, which aren't going to help you perform better on your bike. But a really good example is like what we did for Chris and his National 24. He was doing 24 hours of racing. He needs calories as well as carbohydrates to keep him fueled and going. So Cliff Bar actually worked out quite well. It's really dense, there's a lot of calories in it. He's going to be going in between zone 2, zone 3 for the whole of his ride. So the energy substrate he uses will change. There will be fat usage in that, and there will also be carbohydrate usage. If you're training for crit races or road races or something shorter, more intense, like 4 hours and under, then train using what you're going to use in your race.
It's like when I was in Girona with Ken. Ken's obsessed with Haribo. There's a Haribo factory in Girona. So
there is, yeah.
We ate a lot of Haribo. But Haribo is quite a good carb. It's just sugar.
Yeah, exactly. And sugar is made up of two different carbohydrate sources. So it's glucose and fructose, which means it uses two different transporters or trains to go through the stomach lining, which makes it really efficient to actually digest. So normal table sugar is a really good choice. When we look at things like Wilier Forte, it's purely fruit-based, so it's really high in fructose. So one bar will provide you all the fructose you can absorb really in an hour. So it's probably better to have half a bar and then mix it with something else to help provide you all the energy you need, rather than having a whole bar on its own, which you'll find will probably be a little bit slow digesting. So this is I don't know, what is it?
Guava thing.
Luchos Delitos. It's guava, so that's mainly fruit-based as well. Yeah. So our maximum fructose absorption rate is 30 grams an hour. So anything past that isn't going to be absorbed within the hour. So obviously it starts to carry over. So if we keep having something like that or really fruit-based over 30 grams, it starts to back up the stomach and you'll get stomach distress. Glucose maxes out at 60 grams an hour. So that's why some of these bars, some of these gels are a 2-to-1 ratio of glucose and fructose is what they talk about. And that's what you want ideally to get more carbohydrate in per hour. But a lot of these bars do, some provide them, some don't. You need to read the packet. They'll normally, all scream about it if they do that.
Is there an easy way for like someone like me to work out how much I should take for my 3-hour ride at the weekend?
No, so absorption rates are the same across the board. So it's 60 grams for glucose, 30 grams for fructose. But it depends on the ride you're doing, how intense it is, how long it is. Yeah. So typically we'll have enough glycogen stores in our body to last about 90 minutes of activity, depending on how intense it is. If it's really intense, it'll probably be more towards an hour. If it's more moderate, it'll be about 90 minutes. So if you're going over 90 minutes, we need to start thinking about the kind of session it is, if it's key, if it's just an aerobic session. If it's going to be 2 hours, you'll probably get away with it. Yeah. You'll be fine. You might come back a little bit tired or something. But if you start going into 3 hours, now we need to realistically start fueling to make sure you maintain blood glucose levels and make sure you can keep going.
Yeah.
Because if you start bonking or you start struggling because you're not having carbohydrate, your session's now suffering. Yeah. So you're losing the effectiveness of what that session is and what it's meant to do. So if you're set out to say stay in zone 2, which I know Ken does for you, he's like really rigid on that. sometimes.
He's king of zone. Like, I regularly do 4 hours zone 2 rides.
Yeah, exactly. And I know he sets challenges to make sure that you don't go into zone 1 on turbos and things like this. So if that's important, then you need to maintain that and do that through taking on carbohydrate.
Yeah.
And that's when it also comes back to what are you training for? What are you realistically going to use on your race? Some of them you don't need to. Some you can obviously just fuel for the session, make sure you get through it. And then other sessions, like we mentioned about that 8-week lead up to your race, was purely about what we're going to use on race day. Let's practice with those products every single time. And that just gets you used to having those products, gets you used to regularly fueling at each time, and being able to make sure you're maintaining that energy level. Everything that I take on my bike rides, especially when I'm not training for anything in particular, is just going to be saurine, bread and jam. You could take a piece of fruit. I sometimes take a banana. I also do things like marshmallows, icing, who are all really cheap alternatives that are going to provide you carbohydrate. You're going to do the session, and it's not going to come with loads of fat and loads of other options.
Icing?
It really is. Yeah, icing. Icing's sugar. It's 1-to-1 ratio of glucose and fructose. It's about £1 for a whole block, and it would last me maybe like long rides. I think it's 20 grams each will give you 18 grams of carbohydrate, and a block is a kilo. So for £1.
That's good. That's good price, that.
Mate, it's not great for your teeth, but like I don't do that every ride. It's got to be good for you.
What, nerds?
Nerds, yeah.
Is that a ride snack? It's quite small.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Fits in your pocket. No artificial flavours. It's got to be great.
Pure sugar. How much sugar per
I don't know what a nerd is.
Open them and show him in there.
It's a packet in a packet.
A packet and a packet.
What's the nutritional
dodge,
value
mate.
of an individual nerd?
Alex Richardson's on it, isn't it?
Yeah, tell me the values of